Deconverted Man here. So I watched and listened to Sargon and Kristi's debate, and I have some initial ideas about what went right, what went wrong. I don't know that doing a breakdown of every single logical fallacy would be useful in this instance to either party if either one of them happens to watch this video. So I'm going to try to boil down to the essence of what I think their arguments are supposed to be and where they went right and where they went wrong. Okay. So Sargon went after the core of what he thinks social sciences is about. In his view, it's based on essentially non-science, that you can't repeat these tests. If you ask a person today what their feeling or thoughts are about any given idea, you record that answer, and then if you ask the same person a week later, they might have a different answer. So that's not a data point that you really can do much of anything with, if that is indeed how social sciences works. So in essence, what you have is something that tells us, okay, we threw out this net and we asked 1,000 people what they feel about X, and this is the answer. And that can tell you some things. It can tell you, okay, we're all going to vote for Barack Obama today. Okay, so that's some sort of idea that you have. But tomorrow, maybe we're all going to vote for the other guy. So there's some merit to it, but maybe not a lot, or maybe none at all. And that seems to be the essence of what Sargon was going after, is if there isn't repeatability here, or there isn't anything concrete to it, then the whole system is invalid. Kristi went after answering the question at hand, which was, is feminism good or bad in the world? And she answered it, but not really. What she did is bring up a lot of issues that she feels that feminism has brought awareness to. And I'm guessing that bring awareness is just talk about issues. Not necessarily do anything about those issues, but just say that this is a problem. Hey, women are getting their genitals mutilated in other countries. That's bad. And just, that's it. We raised awareness by just saying that. There might be more to it, but nonetheless, the problem I had was there's no association causation between feminism and the topics being talked about. So even if feminists were the first ones to talk about, say, genital mutilation, does that really equal that they somehow championed a cause to end that? Just talking about an issue, does that really produce a good result? Or is it actually doing something that produces the good result? Or is it a combination of both? And I just didn't see any particular association causation with that, although it might have been in the citations, but I have issues with those. Nonetheless, I also don't see the idea that talking about an issue first allows someone else to talk about the issue from the other side of the coin. So as a woman, I bring up that women get raped. Now the man can now bring up that men get raped too. Before, he wasn't able to bring that up. I'm not sure that that's true, and I'm not sure that being the first means anything. But if it's true, fine, great. Where did that take place, and when, and who did that? You can't just say feminists. Who? Is there an individual? Was it a group of individuals? That would be something that could be pinpointed and demonstrated, I would think. The other question I would have is, why bother with the name? I think this is a question I've never really had a good answer to. Why not just call yourself equalitarian? Be active in raising awareness of issues and solving issues. And just forget the title, feminist. Just drop that. Because the word has become so tarnished. So if you really wanted to address and deal with this issue of X, then isn't that more important than what you call yourself? Sargon failed at answering the question of yes or no until later in his rebuttal. And his attack on feminism being bad happened much later in the debate, which is a very large tactical error on his part. It weakened his argument as a whole, and Kristi did comment on this, and I have to award a point in her favor for doing so. He commits the formal fallacy of failure to argue the point at hand until after she brought that up, at which point he did try to show that feminism is bad for the world. A point up to Sargon, a point going to Sargon, when he lamented about how bad modern feminism is, pointing out all the different memes that feminism is associated with. I think that could have been a lot stronger had he done that in his lead to explain why feminism is bad for the world, and then attach it directly to the problems perceived and or that are in social sciences if you wanted to go that direction. So, having given both people 1 point, who wins? No one. I hate that. I want someone to win. They're arguing over two different things. Sargon is going after the popular feminist stuff that's on YouTube, on Twitter, on you name it, and it's there. And it has become so prevalent that even the president is now quoting these memes that are simply not true. Sargon asked a question of Kristi towards the end. The question and answer thing melted down and was not. Shame on both of them for not doing better on that. Although I kind of want to say shame on Sargon more. He could have framed his questions better so to not let Kristi avoid them. Oh well. But emotions and getting heated and such, I too have failed in that area, so no hard feelings there, Sargon. The core of this, is it bad in the world? And Winters said, well, we've brought up awareness and this, and this. These are all important issues. Sargon agrees. Yes, those are important issues. But they're not the issues that all the feminists on YouTube and Twitter and all these, you hear, say Anna Sarkeesian, who says everything is patriarchy, everything is racist, everything is anti-gay. We have to point it all out. Oh, everything is bad. And it's like, really? How can a person say that? And she totally means it, I'm sure. Homophobic. That was the last word. And you have someone like that who's a big presence on YouTube, who calls themselves a feminist, whether or not they're really a feminist, I don't know, but that's what they call themselves. And that's who Sargon is going after. Kristi is saying, well, but we've raised awareness. Feminism, whatever that is this movement, this nebulous thing. The definition she gave was a political movement that has raised all these awareness about these important topics. But is that true? Simply defining something as X doesn't make it X. So simply saying that, well, feminism is good because it's defined as good doesn't make it good. Simply saying that feminism is a political movement that's brought forward all these issues doesn't mean that it really has brought forward all these issues. And when everything that you reference in your references is feminist stuff, for the most part, I have to be additionally skeptical. Which goes back to my original complaint lodged at Winters way back when, that I didn't like the citation of Wikipedia and The Guardian on her first video proving that patriarchy exists, which didn't prove anything to me, and all it was the exact thing that Sargon was going after in this debate. Here is an example, and he really should have used this. Here's an example of you doing the thing that I'm complaining about, that is wrong with feminism, is rather than giving us the good, solid, real data that we don't get to be skeptical of because it's not from a feminist site, it's not from a feminist propaganda machine, it's not from that, it's just data done by, Joe Schmo out there, or Jane Schmo, or if you like, but it's just collected data in general, and we took all that data and we said, look, here it is. That's our argument. That proves patriarchy exists. That proves that this thing is real and we need to do something about it. That wasn't done in that video. Sargon should have used that as an example. That's what's wrong with feminism. Does that mean it's bad for the world? Well, when you get the president saying memes that aren't true, that is a direct result of this. And Kristi didn't answer why he's doing that, which wasn't really a fair question. She can't know why he did that. That's true. The question should have been is, what are you doing, or what is feminism doing to combat the fact that you have the President of the United States saying something that isn't true? Where's all the tweets at the President saying, you're wrong, that's not true, that's not how it really is, here's the real data? These so-called feminists polluting YouTube and somehow getting this meme out to such a level that it's reached you, that's not us. If you want to keep the title, which again I don't know why you would, but nonetheless, that's not us. They've stolen our name. This is really what we're about. That's not what the debate was, though. It could have been a lot better for both sides. I think Kristi could have made, if she had just shown association causation between feminism and all these topics that are good topics, that are topics that we should be paying attention to, she would have won, hands down. I would have agreed with her. Had Sargon gone after and demonstrated that feminism is bad because all it does is propagate memes, and that it also is logically incoherent within itself, he would have won. But neither one really got to that point. And I see that as a shame, because I really wanted somebody to win. And I don't care who wins, I just want somebody to win. So I, as a skeptic, can say, okay, that's whose side I'm on. Even though I guess we really shouldn't have to pick sides. I'd rather be equalitarian. Sargon had points that I agree with. Kristi had points I agree with. Sargon made good points. Most of feminism on YouTube and other places is crap, including Kristi's older content, where she didn't use good citations. She could have used better ones if they exist, but she didn't. She did the exact thing of, there's more men than women in the government, therefore patriarchy, which is what Sargon commented on in this debate, which is why I think he should have referenced her video, but nonetheless. And also, the other hampering I continue to hammer at this at Kristi is because I was told, at least I remember being told, maybe I wasn't really told this, my memory's flawed, that was the first in a series of videos where it was going to graduate higher and higher, and then we were going to get better references as time went on, and that just never materialized. So I'm still waiting for that. Now, Molecular mentioned that he will do something about this at some point, and so I'm waiting for that, because I know he will give me references that I will not question. So I'm waiting for that, because I want to see if there is anything useful about this thing called feminism. I don't know, because all I've seen on YouTube is people like Anna Sarkeesian, who don't make any sense at all. Everything is homophobic. Everything is racist. Everything is patriarchal. And you have to point it all out. Everything's wrong all the time. Really? Really? Everything? That means your stuff is too. So then no one wins ever. There's no coherent, logical thought. And when you go and you try to engage with the people that call themselves feminists on YouTube, as I've done a couple times, and the response is not a well-reasoned, rational response, but it is anger, swear words, and insults, that makes you question if they have something legitimate or not. And I've gotten that from Captain Andy, I've gotten that from Kristi, I've gotten that from Steve Shives, who I called Steve Shines at one point, because I can't say words. But that doesn't mean anything. See, those three people, that's not significant. That proves nothing, and it should prove nothing to no one, because personal experience is irrelevant. It's not a data point until you have 10,000 more people, or some significant number of people that say, yeah, we all too had that experience. Then you have something, but it's still not much, but it's something. And if social sciences does that, like where they say, okay, all these people had this experience of a negative experience in dealing with feminist YouTubers, and that's consistent, like it doesn't change next week, then you've got something to go on. You have a data point that's consistent, but it's still weak within logic, but it's better than nothing, I guess. So my message, I guess, if I had one, and if either of them ever watches this, come on, there's Deconverted Man, they don't care about me. I'll say a little something in a moment, but my message would be to Sargon that if he gets the chance to do this again against whoever, to make the point that feminism is bad because it's logically incoherent, and then prove that point within the confines of informal logic. Make a syllogism that shows that point's valid, and back that up with data. Whether or not that involves the social sciences is up to you, because involving that may or may not make the argument stronger, weaker, or more complex than it needs to be. And I will help you if you want help with the informal logic stuff, because that's what I do, but you probably have access to other people that you feel can do that better, whatever. For Kristi's side, I would say what you need to do, Kristi, is to show an association causation between the feminist movement and these ideas being dealt with and or addressed, and also some clarification of if feminism is just about talking about stuff and waiting for someone else to solve it, or is it about raising awareness by talking about stuff and then going out and doing something about that stuff? And also to clarify how you empower a woman somewhere else in some other country to be able to speak out about X, Y, and Z when you in the West are like, yeah, that's a problem you're having. I'm not going to talk about it. You need to talk about it. Well, how? If they don't have a voice, you need to be their voice. So I'm not sure how you're helping that person. So that needs to be clarified. Okay, so what else? I guess that would be my message to both of them, because I want either of them to make a solid argument for or against feminism so I know which way to go. That's all. I need a syllogism. Okay, I really do. That's just what I feed off of. So give me a syllogism, and it needs to be backed by the data and all that, of course, but still, I really want that, please. Maybe they don't want to do that. That's fine. They don't have to. The last negative, I'll give two more negative things about each person, that will be it. Negative on Kristi, appeal to personal, intelligence. My brain went goodbye there. Appeal to your own learning in these fields. Doesn't matter, okay? It matters, but it doesn't. Okay, in informal logic, Einstein said X, therefore X is true. That's fallacious. Einstein said E equals mc squared, so that's what it is. E equals mc squared because Einstein said it. No, it's not true because he said it. It's not true because he knows all the sciences and stuff. It's true because it's true in and of itself and can be shown to be true, independently of who said it and how much academia they have behind them. So Sargon not knowing diddly or squat about all the different studies and all the different things that go on in social sciences is not relevant if his argument is sound. Now, you do have a tactical advantage because you do understand all that. So you can use language that he doesn't know and wipe the floor with him. And don't apologize while doing it. See, that's one thing I don't get. It's like, if you know all these technical terms or whatever, use it. Use it and hope that your opponent's argument can come up to that level. Don't dumb it down to them. Use your sophisticated knowledge and just wipe the floor with them. Of course, you're going to have to give citations for that sophisticated knowledge, which I'll probably complain about because it will be from feminist sources. But when that's the only classes you've been taking about, then of course it's going to come from that. So, but you have to establish that, I guess, feminism in and of itself is, how does that work? And you might say, well, you have to go to class for that because it's not my job to teach you. But you can't say that if I didn't take that class that I'm unqualified to talk about these things. It is akin to playing chess. We both know how to play chess, but you might have a few more strategic ideas than I do. That should give you the edge to win. I might still win, though. But it doesn't disqualify me from playing chess simply because I didn't know these strategies. Sargon, negative thing. You need to avoid loaded questions that Kristi can't answer. What about Obama? You didn't ask that in the right way. Why, when you have this meme propagated to such a level, why are you personally, Kristi, not to, what do you make of that? What do you feel about that? Do you think that that is a true statement? Maybe you should have just asked directly, do you think the 3 and 5 women thing is true or not? And forget about the Obama part. Ask direct questions. Is the pay gap real? Do you think that that's real? She can answer that question. I don't know if she will, but it's a direct question that she could have answered. both people had extraordinary emotion and passion about their topic, which is good, but when out of control is bad. So both need to pull back, and I've done that myself, so I'm totally understanding of both people on that. I haven't had too much interaction with Sargon because, you know, he's huge and I'm a little guy. Kristi I've had some interaction with, and it's, except for one time, it's all been negative. And I see that as a bad thing. I'm just somebody that wants the data and wants the coherent argument, and I'm not getting that. And when I point that out, all I get is insults and ridicule, and you didn't study this so you can't possibly understand it, which isn't logical. So I still don't have a reason to agree with you, and now you're pushing me farther away from ever wanting to agree with you because you're combative. Molecular said, it's just kind of the way I come across sometimes, that because I'm so mirrored in requiring certain things and because I'm focused purely on logic, and I try not to allow room for emotions in or something, that I can come across a certain way that makes people more combative or something. And that might be true. I don't know. And I don't know how to change that, or if I want to, because I care about logic. And I care about these issues. A lot of the issues that Kristi was talking about are important issues that we do need to do something about. I just don't know that feminism is the thing that will fix these things. Fair enough, I don't know that equalitarianism is either. But at least with equalitarianism, we don't come with all this baggage of all this negative stuff like feminism has. So just forget about the title. Just look, here's a problem, and here's a way to fix that problem. Maybe you yourself are unable to do anything, and so your only role is to try to say it's a problem, and I wish I could help, but I can't. You know, there's been a lot of people who need money that I pointed at and said, hey, this person needs money for this or that, and I don't have any money, otherwise I'd throw some money at them. I'm broke as bleep. So I can't help them, but maybe somebody else can. If I could do something, then I would. So if I don't know what I can do, then that becomes the responsibility of the person advocating for me to do X, Y, or Z to tell me what I can do to solve this problem. You can do this, whatever that is. Then I'll go do that. If you can't do that, then then at least share my video or point at it and tell your friends about it, because maybe one of them can do something about it. Okay, I'll do that. But I didn't get that from either of these people, and so that's my thoughts on this. Was there empirical evidence? No, not really. There was citations, but nothing I can really say is empirical here. Repeatable test? No. Logically coherent argument? Nope. Sorry. Both people failed at that. So we have to be skeptical of both of their conclusions. Thanks for listening.